If there's one thing that has the knife world kind of up in arms or in a conundrum or against each other, it's always going to be steels. And there's one in particular that has been quite the hot topic this year. And we're talking Magnacut. Hola, ¿cómo está? El Magnacuto. So usually when a new steel hits the market, there's a big influx and a craze where everybody's trying to get out as many models of their designs and whatever as they can. And it's a really big thing. It's a really big topic. It's something new. People are trying to see if it in fact is what we've been looking for. The holy grail of edge retention, hardness, ease of sharpening, corrosion resistance, rust resistance, all this stuff that we like. And for a long time, I was of the mindset that I didn't touch new steels when they came out. I would wait like a few months and kind of see other people that I know and trust and follow to get their opinions first before I spent my hard-earned money on it. But over the years, I've been fortunate enough to be not only working with other people in the industry, but now being employed by my favorite knife company ever, LT Wright Knives. I'm able to get my hands on stuff as soon as they're able to. And it's been awesome. So I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm not here to bash Magnacut or whatever. This is just honest in the field with what I do and the stuff that I enjoy, feedback and a review of Magnacut and what I think is equally as good, maybe even better. Hold on, we'll get into it. So as it sits right now, I own about 5 to 6 knives in Magnacut. One of them's a folder, another one's a half-face blades, and the rest are either a Woods Monkey folder or LT Wright knives. By far the most used knife that I have in Magnacut is this Frontier First from LT Wright Knives, and this happens to be the Carry Commission exclusive. I'm friends with Taylor and Ricky at Carry Commission. Taylor's Best EDC and Ricky is Captain Ricky on Instagram, and they're great guys. Have had a blast with them. I always look forward to camping and hanging out with them or seeing them at shows and stuff. So when this dropped, I was really excited about it because this is a model that I own several models of. The Frontier First I own in several different steels, and I knew that I liked this model. So it wasn't an issue of the design itself of the model. This was solely about getting this because of the steel. And this is one that I've used quite a bit. Let me show you some different things about it that I like. So first off, I think a knife this size is perfect for what Magnacut claims it's good at. The properties that people like Magnacut for and want and desire in a steel like Magnacut, a knife this size, something that is going to be an everyday carry size, something that could be used as either a neck knife or a small belt knife, something that fills the hand, but it's not so big that it's going to get shelved. I've learned over the years for myself that these knives that are in this range, that are smaller, that aren't, you know, a bigger fixed blade, I tend to use those more because they're just a little bit more friendly. If I do carry it on my hip, my shirt goes over it just fine. It's not something big and bulky that's dragging my pants down, and it's still more than capable enough to open up boxes, cut cardboard, cut rope, strike a fire steel, make a feather stick, do some wood carving if I'm wanting to carve like a little wood spirit, or just practice my notches like doing a tri-stick. And it's also friendly enough that because of the properties of Magnacut, this blade shape is really good for processing game. It's got enough of a drop point on it that you can get in between the flesh and the skin without puncturing anything. You can just rip right down and zip down the hides. And even for fish, it's got enough of a needle point on it that you can run it across those fine rib bones if you're looking at some like panfish or some of the hardier fish like catfish, and you're wanting to get that meat away from the bones and from the rib cage. And with it being Magnacut, it's friendly around the water. So that's the big thing that appealed to me, because up until now, I've been a fan of what I think is its direct competition. So let's switch gears here, and I'll share with you what I think the direct competition is for Magnacut. And again, this is just my opinion, but to me, it's got the same properties and the same feel as AEB-L. This is a small Northern Hunter from LT Wright Knives, an AEB-L, and I've had this now for at least 6 or 7 years. Pretty early on when this model came out, I was a fan of it. It's that Canadian belt knife, fur trapper kind of design, but more importantly, the steel is what appealed to me. AEB-L has been a long time razor blade steel, and I've put this through the paces. I bought this knife specifically for kayak camping, kayak fishing. It's got, again, a super friendly design for cleaning fish, game, squirrels, whatever. And I'll tell you, I love AEB-L. AEB-L has been really good to me. And when I say the feel of it, I personally believe that certain steels, like they have emotions, prefer certain methods of sharpening. And so most of us will carry certain ways to touch up our blades, keep them sharp, and certain steels do better with certain means of sharpening than others. So for me, I'm a big fan of A2. I'm a big fan of AEB-L. O1's great. When you start getting into some of the crucible steels and the 3Vs and stuff, those are wonderful. But the way that I take care of the edge of my blade and what I do, running around out in the woods, sometimes being gone for 5 days, sometimes 7 days at a time, like, I want to be able to carry something that's compact, that doesn't weigh a lot, and that can do a lot for me with one go. Huge fan of the Work Sharp guided field sharpener, and it just so happens that on that sharpener is a ceramic rod. I love ceramic rods, whether it's a fine grit or coarse grit. You know, I won't get into that, but certain steels will get the edge that I like with the ceramic rod, a few passes on it if it's got any kind of imperfections on it, and then I bump it over to the strop, the leather strop. So I learned pretty early on that AEB-L was something that was corrosion resistant and rust resistant enough that I could just keep this around my neck or keep it in my PFD on my kayak, and it could get completely soaking wet, have it in a Kydex sheath, and it would be good to go. And back at camp, sitting around the fire or in my tent or whatever I'm at, I can hit this with a ceramic rod and get just enough of that toothy edge that I like, and then finish it on a strop with some compound, and I'm back in business. So I think a lot of the issues that people might have with certain steels is it may not agree with how they like to maintain that steel, or it's all preferences. That's what it comes down to. And after using both Magnacut and AEB-L, I've been comparing actively Magnacut to AEB-L, and I have not found that much of a difference so far. Here's how I'm kind of comparing the two steels. I'm not worried about the blade shape or the, what the knife is, but the two steels. First and foremost, edge retention is huge for me, and nobody wants an edge that just goes away or dwindles away after a couple of uses. So both of these pass that test. They hold their edge really well, even for just a 3-day like camping trip, like a Friday to Sunday. You're not gonna probably need to do much to it. If you do, both of them, the second point, both of them are ease of enough sharpening, stropping, honing, that's not an issue either. Ceramic rod on both, leather strop with compound on both. Third, corrosion resistance, rust resistance, both of them pass that test because they're stainless. The nod probably goes a little bit more to Magnacut, and that's just getting into the technical aspects of it. I believe it's either the chromium levels or vanadium levels, might be higher, but I give the nod to AEB-L when it comes to price. Being able to find it, being able to, like, a lot of knife makers now make stuff in AEB-L, from your custom handmade stuff to where they're only doing like maybe 100 knives a year, to mass produce knives, you can find AEB-L. Not everyone wants to deal with Magnacut. Fourth, the cost. AEB-L wins that again for me. The cost has come down a little bit now on Magnacut because it's been around a little bit longer, but early on, with any new steel, everybody wants it and they're going to charge whatever they want for it. AEB-L has been around for a long time. And then fifth is something I think is often overlooked, but what do the companies and the makers that are heat treating it feel about it? And by now, AEB-L's dialed in with, if you look at Peter's heat treat, anybody that's doing their heat treat with AEB-L, they understand it, they know it. It's the same as your older steels, A2, O1, 1095. People have dialed that in to where it's a consistent time and time and time again. You're gonna get the same result when it comes to heat treat, edge retention, all that stuff. Magnacut, there's still a lot to be said about it. Again, I'm not gonna get into the he said, she said stuff. There's multiple accounts from more than a handful of respected makers that have issues with Magnacut, and the big ones like delamination, pitting, and some other stuff. So it's really hard when it comes to reviewing this stuff to tell folks like you that are watching, go spend your money on it, because that's hard-earned money. Just because I work for a knife company doesn't mean I don't spend money on knives. I bought this knife. I bought this knife. This was, you know, I bought this before I was working for LT, and I bought this from Carry Commission. So I'm not trying to sell you on one or the other. I'm just giving you the opinions. The money I've spent, I would hands down buy AEB-L over Magnacut for the reasons listed. So they're very comparable. They're both excellent. This one, Magnacut, isn't bad, but I just think it's got some kinks that need to be worked out. Hope you enjoyed the video today, and maybe it shed some light on you about Magnacut and a comparable steel. Again, it's your money. You spend it on whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. Hopefully you're spending your money on something that either makes being outdoors a little bit more fun, or a little bit more safe, or helps you get a little bit more things done. But regardless, get outside and enjoy the woods. Thanks for watching.